Hello. Apologies for not wearing any eye makeup. I'm still recovering from a sty, so I haven't been able to wear any eye makeup for a hot minute. Also haven't really felt up to filming for the last couple of weeks, but I'm here now, eyelashes curl, lipstick on, ready to talk about September. And since I still have like 450 pages of reading left to do for my classes this upcoming week, we're just gonna skip the intro and let's get it. So one of the big things I kind of realized in September is that my relationship to makeup really ebbs and flows, which is to say that like my obsessiveness around makeup and acquiring new makeup really ebbs and flows in a way that it really hadn't prior to my no-buy-year. If you looked at 2018 Prachi, she was always thinking about makeup. Like, it occupied my mind all the time. I was constantly obsessing over acquiring new makeup and decluttering my stash of current makeup. There were no weeks off from thinking about makeup, much less like a month off from thinking about makeup. And coming out of my no-buy-year into the year 2020, I've realized that my feelings towards makeup tend to be sort of cyclical. Cyclical is perhaps not the right word, it's that they tend to ebb and flow. Sometimes I'm like really invested, I'm constantly watching videos on new makeup releases, I'm thinking about what it is I want to buy a lot, I'm assessing my own makeup collection and its shortcomings and its strengths, but then I'll have like other weeks where I just like could not care less about makeup. If I think about makeup at all during those weeks, it's just like in the morning as I'm putting it on. You know, like what lipstick do I want to wear today? Do I want to use X palette or Y palette, etc, etc. Essentially, some weeks makeup is functional for me, other weeks makeup is a hobby. As in, like, some weeks I think about makeup only as I'm using it, and other weeks it actually occupies my free time. August, for me, was a month where makeup was big as a hobby. I thought a lot about my own makeup collection, what the gaps in it were, what makeup on my wish list, and whether I wanted it or not. And I actually made 3 calculated purchases in the month of August. Now, I'm not gonna talk about them here because literally 1 month ago, on September 2nd, I filmed a video about everything that I purchased in August. And then classes started and I got really busy and it just kind of sat there languishing, only half edited. At which point I began to think it was not worth releasing that video at all and that I should refilm it all in one shot as a September check-in and then give it to you guys. But I think what I'm going to do now, especially because like my eye is out of commission and will be for the foreseeable future because it's still like a little tender, I think I'm just gonna finish editing that video and upload it. And that way you guys will get a sense of like what were the makeup items I bought in August, how August was going for me, and what my like thoughts and general headspace was for that particular window of time. Because I think it's a good snapshot of how I was feeling and how excited and enthused and very in the world of makeup I was at the very end of August, very start of September. A footnote to that video is that I bought 3 things in the month of August, which means that of the 20 items that I'm allowed to buy myself this year, I'm now down to having only 5. And I will say I did sort of begin to feel that pressure and that weight towards the end of August, start of September. That like, oh my god, there's still like 4 whole months left in the year and I can only buy 5 things and the Sephora sales haven't even happened yet. But September was so intense, I will get into it, that until I sat down to film this right now, it didn't occur to me, oh right, I only have 5 more spots to buy things for the rest of the year. So it's interesting how my mindset on that has changed. Towards the end of August, start of September, I was like really feeling the pressure. I was like, oh god, I'm running out of spots. I need to be careful, I need to conserve. But now we're at the start of October, I haven't bought anything. There's only 3 months left in the year and I still have 5 spots and I can't even really think of things I want to buy right now. So suddenly, the 5 spots, which before seemed really constricting and like I was running out, it seems like I have a lot of freedom and a lot of space. So that's the thing I don't really mention in that video where I'm talking about the stuff I purchased. And I do think it would have been really interesting had I filmed a September check-in, how different my mindset would have been back then versus now, because there really was a shift in attitude based off of my experience of how September went. So now let's get into the actual month of September. At the start of September, a very close family member of mine, who's actually a doctor, because I have an insane number of family members in the medical profession, all of whom are just like on the front lines of this shit. He got diagnosed with COVID. And then soon his wife got diagnosed with COVID and his son. And his wife and son are like generally fine-ish, but he has a compromised immune system. And so when the Rona hit him, it hit him really hard, to the point where he had to be hospitalized and be put on oxygen and all that kind of stuff. The day that I found out about this, at the start of September, I actually wrote a journal entry, and I debated on paraphrasing it or finding another way to say it to you guys, but I've decided I'm just going to read an excerpt, just verbatim, out of my journal to you, so that you know the headspace I was in going into the month of September. So I wrote this at 1:42 a.m. on September 3rd, 2020. So literally the same night as when I had filmed this like fun little video of everything that I bought in August and all my feelings about it. We found out this news, and then this became the headspace I was in, framing the entire rest of my September. It should be noted that classes were also starting that same week. So here's the last part of what I wrote. It seems so bizarre to be stressed about the start of a new semester right now. Like, what on earth does my potential graduation matter in the face of everything going on in the world? It's the same feeling I've been having regarding my YouTube channel and my low by year. Whether I break my rules or keep to them, what does that even matter in the face of everything going on right now? Given the immeasurable ways in which my life and the lives of so many around me have irrevocably changed. I also, just in case you guys missed it, lost a family member in May, so keep that in mind as well. I understand deeply that it is okay and expected to not be thriving right now, to not be flourishing. And yet I cannot help but feel that I'm letting down all the people who have died, who have expected me to go on living, to go on thriving. Does that make sense? I keep thinking about how time is so precious, how life is so short, and yet this year has just passed me by with little to nothing to show for it. I feel like I'm letting everyone, dead and alive, down by doing nothing of significance. Perhaps this is why I'm so determined to get a 173 plus on the LSAT and graduate once and for all with my undergrad this year, because then it will not feel like this entire year flew by in misery with me having done nothing. I also think, feel that I need to live well to honor those who have passed, and every day in which I do not live well, every day in which depression wins and I just lie in bed doing nothing, not studying for the LSAT, not reading, not exercising, not flourishing or growing, feels like I have personally let those I have lost and the family members still here who have endlessly supported me down. So that's how I was feeling at the start of September, and a part of that energy really carried through the entire month with me. And I think that in large part is what was responsible for me just not caring about makeup this month, not having the energy or the bandwidth for it, because so much was going on in my own personal life that to care about makeup seemed, I don't even want to say that it seemed frivolous or not appropriate, because there have been moments where I have been like really going through it in life, and I have used makeup, and specifically the beauty community and all of the videos kind of posted as just like a beautiful escape. And not just an escape, but like a relief, like a respite from all of the misery going on in the world. And something this September just like did not allow me to do that. I don't know if it's like I felt like I had to be present for everything. Like I didn't let myself take a break. Like I didn't cut myself any slack. I was like, you can't distract yourself from all of the crazy important shit going on in your life right now. Like you gotta look straight ahead, you gotta focus, you gotta like not let yourself relax. That's so fucked up now that I think about it. I'm like, it's like self-care is a real thing. Like you are not supposed to be high tension, high stress, high energy like all the time. That's how you burn out. That's how I burnt out before. And a large part of me sort of like picking up the camera today and deciding to film, even though my eye is like still messed, is I was like, no, you're gonna let yourself do this. You're gonna let yourself have this like hobby and not just be on all the time. Because right after that horrible news and right after that journal entry, and by the way, my family member, he's still in the hospital, he's still on oxygen, he keeps getting better and then worse and better and then worse, and so that's, you know, like a thing I've been stressing about. Like at all times, we're constantly asking people for updates because we can't physically be there, and that level of helplessness is also really shitty. But added on top of that is like all of my classes have started. And all of the classes I'm taking are so serious and intense. In particular, I'm taking one that's on like the history of the Holocaust. That class is actually going to be happening later on today, but the readings we have to do for that class are like emotionally and mentally so draining. I read pretty much like 100 pages of documents on euthanasia, which is really just a code word for eugenics, reading about these like forced sterilizations and then these cold calculated murders because they felt like the only worth a person had was like economic, and if a person couldn't contribute economically to German society at that time, then they didn't deserve to live. And like 90 of those 100 pages of the readings that we had to do, because it was like a set of official documents, they were like all the perpetrators, right? It was excerpts from this like famous book which they used to justify eugenics. It was like a bunch of Hitler's speeches. It was these back alley memos that they were sending from one person to the next. And interspersed in between are these like accounts from family members and these letters people are writing saying, you know, I'm in the asylum and they keep carting people away and no one's coming back and I'm pretty sure I'm next. And then on the next page you turn it over to find out like, yeah, her family received a note that she died like a week later. And it's just like, it's just... Midway through reading about like forced sterilizations yesterday, I just lay down in my bed and cried. Firstly, because like what happened to them was so horrible, but secondly, because I'm like, it's still fucking happening. Like 3 weeks ago, I was reading about what was happening to people in Xinjiang, China, like the Uyghur Muslim population there, and I'm like, it's still going on. They too are being put into educational camps, which are really just like labor camps. They too are being like forced to sterilize. They too are being experimented on, and it's like, that kind of stuff has been occupying my head for the entirety of September. This week's reading was on the eugenics programs carried out on primarily non-Jewish people in Nazi Germany. Like next week, we're gonna have to start reading about the final solution. Last week, I read 300 pages of Victor Klemperer's diary, and so this whole month, I have not been thinking about makeup at all. Right? Because it's like when I'm not thinking about what's going on with my family or like the really intense readings that I'm having to do for my classes, and it's important that I do these readings because we have to bear witness, right? Like, so it's like really important to learn all of this stuff. I love this class, I love the professor, but like it takes an emotional toll, which in turn then takes a physical toll. And so I have just not been thinking about makeup at all. I have not been thinking about beauty at all. Layered on top of the familial stress and then what's going on with university, I have like the stress of LSAT and the fact that law school applications for Canadian law schools at the very least are due on November 1st. So my free time is like, where is she? I'm also still working. So like, you know, it's like September was a weird, intense, rough month. And I think October is actually, if anything, going to be even more intense because now I have to like really make the decision, am I applying to Canadian law schools? I need to start reaching out to people. I have to like write a personal statement and everything because the deadline for all of the Ontario law schools and for McGill and stuff, it's November 1st. And if I miss that deadline, then that means like I missed this entire cycle for Canadian law schools. I can only apply to ones in the US if I hope to enter law school in 2021. So the stresses are piling on. My eye is kind of fucked up. And by the way, I think that's also part of why I wasn't thinking about makeup a lot this September, because like the fact that I have to wear masks every day means I pretty much don't wear lip products or like face makeup because it'll just get all over the inside of the mask. So all I had left was eye makeup. And then once my eyes started irritating me, I stopped wearing eye makeup. It turned into a full-blown sty. So it's like I haven't even really been wearing makeup, except for sometimes I'll throw on like lipstick before I go on a Zoom. So what you are seeing here right now is every single makeup look I have done during the entire month of September. And this is what I meant when I said at the start that I think my relationship to beauty and makeup, it's gonna ebb and flow. August was like a really beauty intensive month and September was a month in which I really didn't think about beauty at all. I have no idea what October is going to be like, but I know that I am going to finish editing that video of everything that I bought in August, so you guys will have like that fun makeup content to look at, because shit, this got real dark. I don't know how I was suddenly talking about eugenics. And I find that sometimes I spend like way too long filming, so then I have like 2 hours of footage that I'm then trying to edit down into like 25 minutes, and that's crazy. So to make life easier for myself, because October is going to be really stressful, I think I'm going to try and do sort of like shorter, less heavily edited videos. And I have like 30 some empties, like a bunch of empties piling up. So I think I'm gonna start like batching the empties up a little and film some of those as well. Maybe I'll even throw in a favorites video so that we can bring some joy and levity into these dark times. Anyway, that was the much more intense than I had anticipated September check-in for my low buy year. God, this is supposed to be a beauty channel, what the fuck? As always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great upcoming week. And even if the rest of your week ends up becoming messy or imperfect, I hope that you're still able to create and experience some truly beautiful moments. Thanks for watching. Bye.